It's sweet first and then cruel, sweet first and then cruel that winter, she fell in love with someone she never thought would be with. In this relationship, she was a coward and never dared to expect too much. She always hoped that he would truly like her. He once asked her the same question twice. Why do you always dare not look into my eyes? The situation in her original family made her feel inferior and afraid to look into his eyes. She was just a girl from an ordinary family, not as confident as others. She liked him too much, it was the feeling she liked at first sight, and being liked made her dizzy. Chapter 1. When entering university for the first time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Today is the first day of school, and I'm going to report to school early. Grandma, I'll miss you. Goodbye. Ching Ching took away the milk from her grandmother's hand, and as she packed her bags, she was about to step into the threshold of university. The journey is far away, but at this moment, Ching Ching yearns for college life and is very excited. Along the way, he is thinking about what school is like and what college roommates are like. What should he do if they have conflicts and don't get along well with each other? When Ching Ching arrived, it was already afternoon and he arrived at the school gate with a lot of enthusiasm. Due to the epidemic, everyone was wearing masks and, under the introduction of the supervisor and assistant class, they were divided into dormitories. Welcome, Ching Ching, to join this big family. It's been tough, but let this sophomore, Mr. Jing Yen, take you to the dormitory soon. Okay, thank you, guide. Ching Ching looked at the senior, although wearing a mask, half of his face showed that Jing Yen was pretty good. He had deep and bright red phoenix eyes, giving people a cold and sentimental feeling. He was wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and gradient gray-black jeans, with a shooting star double-layered necklace around his neck, which looked very simple and fashionable. Jing Yen helped Ching Ching carry his luggage and enthusiastically explained the layout of the campus to him. On the left side of the school entrance, there is a teaching building next to two teaching buildings. Moving forward, there is an observation deck. The school has many goldfish, including some senior students, and there are also some dogs and cats. You cannot bully them. That's for sure. I also like small animals, and I have cats and dogs at home. Naturally, I won't bully them or let others bully them. Ching Ching looked at Senior Jing with a firm gaze, as if he was about to join the Communist Party. The senior couldn't help but laugh as he looked at her serious expression and said, I believe my junior sister won't. Ching Ching thought to himself that Senior Jing looked cold and difficult to get in touch with. He didn't expect to talk so confidently. Finally, she stumbled all the way to the entrance of the dormitory. Senior Jing said, I'll see you here. Goodbye. She was about to open the dormitory door with a nervous heart when she turned to Ching Ching and said, Please leave your contact information. I see you're so naive that you don't understand anything at first. If you have anything you don't understand, feel free to ask me. Okay, thank you so much, Senior Jing. Sometimes I have to disturb Senior Jing, Ching Ching politely replied with a faint smile on his face. You are welcome. Opening the dormitory door, there was some clutter in the dormitory. As soon as they arrived at the school, they were not completely tidied up and there was no one inside. Ching Ching began to slowly tidy up his things because his roommates came earlier and they were already familiar with each other. However, because they arrived too late, they had already gone out to eat in groups, so Ching Ching did not see each other. After tidying up, Tan Lin and Zhong Yui returned to the dormitory arm in hand, chatting happily. Tan Lin, with a hot wave and a pair of watery eyes, has a beautiful face that exudes an aura from the inside out. People who first see her may think she has a partner, but in fact, she has never been in a relationship. Hello, my name is Tan Lin. Hello, my name is Zhong Yui. They spoke almost at the same time because they seemed to have a good relationship and also went back to the dormitory together, which made Ching Ching mistakenly think that the two roommates were high school classmates, making her envious of being able to go to college together. Although Ching Ching also had a high school friend at school, unfortunately, he and she were not in the same major. Hello, my name is Ching Ching. Are you high school classmates? Ha ha ha, it's not that. We arrived at school together in the morning, so we could go out for dinner together. We just got to know each other, Tan Lin said, looking at Ching Ching with her watery eyes. We will become roommates in the future. Please leave your contact information and take care of us in the future, Zhong Yui said while holding her phone. Okay, definitely. Just finished talking to another roommate, Fu Mengqing. Before seeing anyone, I heard someone talking in the hallway. Hello everyone is here. My name is Fu Mengqing. The one who pays, the one who dreams, is clear. You can call me Xiaofu. Fu Mengqing has a cheerful personality. Although she may seem a bit careless and say whatever she wants, she always thinks of others and often helps her friends solve problems. Since we've all arrived, let's create a group so it's convenient to keep in touch. Okay, the three of them answered in unison. Chapter 2. Newly entered universities. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. After dinner, the moon was hanging high and dark in the sky. Ching Ching and his friend Chiu made an appointment to go out and buy items. They bought a lot of daily necessities, snacks, fruits, and some things that didn't seem very useful. There were too many things to take down, so Ching Ching and Chiu had to put in a lot of effort to gradually lift the items from the supermarket to the school gate. The phone suddenly vibrated and a text message popped up. Do you need help? At this moment, Jing Yan appeared in front of Ching Ching like a beam of light. She hesitated for a moment, wanting to say something good, but felt that it was too troublesome for the senior to always make him work so hard. Without waiting for an answer, Jing Yan naturally took almost everything from Ching Ching's hand. Ching Ching followed behind Jing Yan's buttocks very honestly. Thinking in her heart that she was always working hard as a senior, it was time to treat and thank her. She forgot that her friend was still carrying a lot of things and was following her. Suddenly, Chiu Huanhuan poked Ching Ching, regained consciousness, and looked at her with a mischievous smile on her face. Ching Ching understood what she was thinking and whispered, "It's not what you thought." Cough, it's not like that, it's like that. It's difficult to be a girlfriend if you're not a boyfriend. Chiu's voice, although small, had a strong penetrating power, which frightened Ching into wanting to immediately seal her mouth. While panicking, I didn't pay attention to the road under my feet and fell face down. Jing Yan wanted to turn around and take a look because he heard the conversation between Ching and Chiu. Oh my goodness, help me, my goodness. I'm going to be done, Ching thought to himself. At this moment, his heart of fear has reached its peak. Ching hugged the last straw to prevent himself from falling, kneeling on the ground. The straw he was holding was not grass, but Jing Yan's thighs. Just as Ching looked up and met Jing Yan's 4 eyes, everyone around him stopped and looked at them. At this moment, Ching only wanted to grab a rope and hang himself up, or immediately find a crack in the ground to crawl in. Jing Yan immediately put down the things in his hand, pulled Ching up, and placed them on the ground. I wanted to help her wipe the dust off her pants. Due to their relationship, it was not convenient to do such a thing, so I whispered to Ching, "Be careful." Then I picked up the items on the ground and walked forward. Chiu coughed and joked, "Yes, I can't even walk well. Did I guess it right?" Ching blushed and looked serious again. No, don't think too much. I just met, and the senior just helped me out of kindness. Chiu looked at her serious and flushed expression, and nodded thoughtfully as he looked at Jing Yan walking ahead. Returning to the dormitory, everyone was doing their own thing. After quickly washing up, Ching sat down on the bed and lay down. Lying in bed and reminiscing about what happened tonight, the first day of school was so unlucky. I hope to have a wonderful day tomorrow. The first few days of school are spent getting familiar with the campus and registering for new students. In the blink of an eye, it was the annual opening ceremony of the university. There were so many people in the university that they could think they had met people they used to be familiar with. Line up, the new students enter the playground in order. How lively. Classmate, you stepped on my foot. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You chattered incessantly. After everyone found their seats, the principal, wearing a tie and a suit, walked onto the stage to begin his speech. Dear classmates, today you have entered Tsinghua Park with excitement and anticipation, as well as aspirations and dreams. First of all, on behalf of all teachers, students, and staff, I would like to express my heartfelt congratulations and warm welcome to you. And take this opportunity to extend warm greetings and sincere gratitude to the teachers and parents who have nurtured you. After a series of flag raising and national anthem singing, Cheng Cheng prepared to go out for a stroll with his roommate Tan Lin. As they passed by the school corridor, a ring fell off the ground, and when they picked it up, they found it to be a men's hand ring. Chapter 3. First Encounter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This ring is engraved with a W, a very simple silver ring. At this moment, the owner of the ring is frantically searching for his ring, with a worried expression on his face. I don't know whose ring is probably lost. Why don't you put it away first and post it on the white wall to find the owner before giving it to him? Tan Lin looked at Cheng Cheng's ring and said, ready to take her out of the corridor for a walk. Cheng Cheng nodded, then put away the ring, took a photo and sent it to the confession wall to search for the owner. In no time, as soon as I left the school gate and waited for the traffic lights, a new message popped up on my phone. I opened it and thought the owner had found me, but I found out it was from Jing Yen. How familiar are you with the campus? You new students are about to undergo military training. The green light came on, and just a few steps away, Cheng Cheng stopped and thought about how to reply to Jing Yen. His roommate Tan Lin didn't notice if Cheng Cheng was keeping up and kept moving forward. When she realized it, an overloaded truck was speeding towards Cheng Cheng. It was unclear whether the truck driver was fatigued or rushing to catch up and didn't stop, but was still driving straight forward. Tan Lin wore a mask and shouted loudly to Cheng Cheng, "Get out of the way, get out of the way." Because she was too anxious for a while, Tan Lin forgot her name and stomped her feet in a hurry. A boy wearing a duckbill cap pulled Cheng Cheng over, causing her to stumble and almost fall to the ground. The boy was very tall and held her in his arms, but he noticed that he seemed to be trembling. The sudden situation made Cheng Cheng momentarily unaware of what had happened, and he was stunned for a few seconds before his brain crashed. Until a clear and gentle male voice came from above, "Are you okay?" "Ah, it's okay, it's okay." What happened? Cheng Cheng was still in the boy's arms. I don't know if it weren't for him saving her life, otherwise at this moment, she would have hated Northwest. However, because she wasn't used to being held by a boy for the first time, her cheeks were as red as a monkey's butt, and her heart was racing. She was too nervous to look at the boy. Wang Jingji gently released Cheng Cheng and said, "You were standing motionless on the road just now, and a car almost hit you. Fortunately, I caught you in time, but I won't be so lucky next time." Cheng Cheng nodded shyly and looked up to meet him. At that moment, everything around him seemed quiet. His eyes were deep and bright, as if he could see through everything. His eyebrows were long and curved, adding a touch of scholarly charm to him. His high nose bridge and clean and delicate appearance were staring at her at the moment. Cheng Chengshin's adrenaline suddenly surged, and his heart, which had just calmed down, began to beat violently again. He even stuttered when speaking, "Okay, I'll be more careful next time." After finishing speaking, Wang Jingji walked away, and Cheng Cheng felt empty in his heart. The boy who saved him just now had not yet thanked him properly. My roommate Tan Lin ran over and gasped for breath, "Cheng Cheng, are you okay? You really scared me to death just now. I called you out loud over there, but you didn't even hear me. Fortunately, that guy gave you a hand." Be sure to pay attention next time. Thank you Tan sang for your concern, hee. Look at you, you're so careless. What if that big truck really hits you? Did you thank the boy just now? I promise there won't be another time. He left before I could thank him. Never mind, if there is fate, there should be a chance. As the saying goes, if there is fate, we will meet from afar, but if there is no fate, we will not meet on the opposite side. Tan Lin blinked her eyes and grabbed Ching Cheng's arm. Hold on this time, don't lose sight of us anymore. Okay. Ching Cheng tightly grabbed Tan Lin's arm and strolled around the shopping mall around the school. Ching Cheng thought that there would be a movie-watching activity tonight and he could give credit. So he discussed going with his roommate Tan Lin. Thinking that he couldn't forget other roommates, he asked in the group, there are movie-watching activity points tonight. If you want to go, you can come together. I'm going. I'll go too. Tan Lin sent a message to the group. Let's go, right? See you tonight at 7 p.m. at the entrance of the auditorium. Chapter 4. The Owner of the Ring. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. At the agreed time, everyone was here. Fu Mengqing and Zhong Yui brought some jelly and gummies, saying that if they were bored, they could chew on them. The taste was delicious. When they arrived at the auditorium, not long after everyone entered, the movie was about to start. The movie was called Crossing the Yalu River. Because everyone went late, they could only sit together in pairs. The auditorium was a bit dark, so Ching Ching didn't see who was next to him clearly. He felt very familiar, but since there weren't many seats available, he sat next to him first and followed his roommate Tan Lin in. Fu Mengqing and Zhong Yui sat behind them. In no time, Fu Mengqing handed over the snack. As it was getting closer, Ching Ching suddenly noticed that Senior Jing was sitting next to him when he looked to the left. He immediately remembered that he had not sent him a message to reply to him until now, which was very impolite. Senior Jing always helped him, and he felt very sorry for it. Moreover, he should have seen me sitting next to him long ago, but since it was his own mistake, he should have bravely taken responsibility. Senior Jing, you also came to watch the movie. I had something to do today and forgot to reply to you. I'm really sorry, Senior. Do you eat jelly? Ching Ching lowered his head with great guilt. In fact, the senior knew in her heart that she was probably still embarrassed about what happened that day, so she shook her head and said, It's nothing, I don't mind. You just need to pay attention next time. Okay, I'll be more careful next time. Take the movie seriously. At this moment, the three melon-eating masses are full of curiosity. The movie is incredibly moving, especially when Americans shoot into the snow, firmly believing that the Chinese volunteer army will not hide in the snow below -30 degrees Celsius. They issue orders to withdraw their troops, but the shot leaves blood flowing from the snow. Most people in the auditorium were filled with tears, even pouring down their faces. Ching Cheng, who was deeply moved, sent a verification message from the ring owner requesting to be added as a friend. After agreeing, the owner of the ring immediately sent a message. Hello classmate, thank you very much for picking up my ring. This ring is very important to me. Can you give it to me now? Ching Cheng looked at the time and saw that there was still half an hour until the end of the movie. He replied, Classmate, if you are in a hurry, you can come to me at the entrance of the auditorium in half an hour, or I can return it to you downstairs in your dormitory. The owner said, I will wait for you at the entrance of the auditorium right away. Ching Cheng thought to himself that he might really be in a hurry, so he decided to go out and get it for him now. He told his roommate that he would be back soon if he had something to do because he had to sign in after the movie to receive his points, so he had to go back. Jing Yan watched as she got up and didn't know where to go. He whispered, Where are you going? Ching Cheng answered that he needed to handle something and hurriedly left. After leaving the auditorium, the surroundings were eerily quiet. Occasionally, one or two people would pass by and wait for 10 minutes before returning. However, They found that their phone had run out of battery, so they couldn't contact anyone else. After a while, a figure walked over from the other side of the corridor, with dim lights. When they approached, they realized that it was Wang Jingji who had saved them today. Cheng Cheng rubbed his eyes, thinking that he had misread. His heart started to beat faster, and he didn't know what was wrong with him. Every time he saw him, his heart started to beat faster, and his face began to blush. His face was as red as fire, spreading from his cheeks to his ears, revealing deep shyness and excitement. Cheng Cheng couldn't believe that he had found his ring. It was him who accidentally saved him. The lights of the long corridor scattered over Wang Jingji, leaving Cheng Cheng stunned for a moment. I thought the person who lost the ring wouldn't be him, but he slowly walked towards Cheng Cheng and said, "Classmate, was it you? Did you pick up my ring?" "Yes, I didn't expect it to be your ring. I haven't thanked you for the lunch yet. I found your ring today and threw it in the corridor. I didn't expect you to find me so quickly." As Cheng Cheng spoke, he reached into his pocket and searched for the ring in his pocket. After a search, he found that the ring was missing. This made Cheng Cheng extremely anxious. He quickly pondered in his mind where the ring might have fallen, unsure of how to explain to his life-saving benefactor for a moment. He cautiously asked, "How much does this ring cost?" Wang Jingji urgently replied, "Although it's not very valuable, it means a lot to me." Cheng Cheng thought to himself that it was over. How should he explain it? Suddenly, a flash flashed in his mind. He had just wiped his tears with paper in the auditorium, and it was probably at that time that the ring accidentally fell out. But I can't guarantee that the ring must have fallen in the auditorium. Cheng Cheng had to lie and say, "Oh, I forgot. I'm afraid I might have lost it. I took it back to my dormitory at noon. Can you come to me tomorrow to get it?" Although Wang Jingji sensed a hint of unease, he could only believe it. Chapter 5. Lost and Found. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cheng Cheng breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Then I have to leave a bit earlier on my end." Wang Jingji watched as Cheng Cheng's back gradually shrank until it disappeared. It seemed that he couldn't get his ring now. Thinking that he could only come tomorrow to get it, he sighed and left. The movie has ended, and Cheng Cheng, who returned to his seat, had to borrow his roommate's phone to sign in because his phone ran out of battery. He also couldn't find the ring in his seat. It's already 9 p.m. now, and the auditorium will close at 9:30 p.m. Cheng Cheng and the others in the auditorium have left one after another, and they are ready to search in the auditorium. They can only pray that they may have been kicked away by someone else accidentally. She originally wanted to ask her roommates to help us find things together, but she thought everyone should be busy with something. Besides, military training is scheduled tomorrow, and she didn't want to work hard on them. So she said she had something to do and asked them to go back to the dormitory first. The auditorium is too big, and my phone runs out of battery. I can only lower my head and slowly explore, afraid that I will be kicked out before I can find the ring. When Jing Yan was about to leave, he found Cheng Cheng looking for something with his head down. Thinking that it would be too dark for a girl to go back alone, he walked over to her and squatted down, asking, "The auditorium is about to close in more than 20 minutes. Did you leave anything behind? Senior Jing, why haven't you left yet? I found a boy's ring today and was about to return it to him when I found it was missing. I accidentally lost it. This ring is very important to him, and he thought it might have been lost in the auditorium." Cheng Cheng looked up at Jing Yan and then lowered his head to help find the ring. "Let me help you find it together. It's difficult for you to find such a big place alone," he said and began searching from the other side of the auditorium. "Thank you, Senior Jing. You have helped me so much. Let me treat you to a meal together when I have time." "Okay, when you have time, please treat me again." After 10 minutes, Cheng Cheng, who had been searching for a long time, was almost blind and couldn't find it, feeling very anxious in his heart. Finally, in a corner under a seat, Jing Yan found him and said, "I found it. Ching Ching, come and see if it's this." "What?" "Found it." Ching Ching rushed to Jing Yan's side with hurried steps. Ching Ching carefully examined and remembered that the ring was engraved with the letter W. "Yes, that's it. Thank you so much, Senior." Ching Ching was so excited that he hugged Jing Yan and immediately let go. Jing Yan shrugged his shoulders, his face turning slightly red. It's getting late and the road is dark. I'll take you back." Good. The two of them were walking in front of each other, and Jing Yan, who was walking in front, spoke up, "Tomorrow is military training. The sun is still quite bright these days, so you should pay attention to sun protection. Don't be like me when the sun was very hot on the first day and I didn't apply sunscreen, and it took me a long time to come back white. This can also prevent myself from getting sunburned. Thank you for your concern, Senior." After speaking, an awkward atmosphere filled the air. Ching Ching, who had no battery on his phone, felt bored and didn't know what to say, so he casually asked, "Senior, are you dating someone?" The dormitory director Fu Mengqing sent a message to Ching Ching without replying, thinking that Ching Ching was going on a date outside, so he didn't answer the phone. At this moment, Ching Ching was heading towards the dormitory building. "What about you, Ching Ching? Do you have a partner?" Jing Yan didn't give a direct answer and threw the question to Ching Ching. "I don't have one yet, but I guess seniors who are kind and gentle must have a tall and beautiful girlfriend. If it's me, I think I hope that person is someone I love and love me. That's enough." Jing Yan paused for a moment and said, "I don't have a girlfriend, but it seems like I have someone I like." "Really, congratulations to Senior Jing. I hope you can catch up with the person you like and find your own happiness." "I also hope." Passing by a slightly darker place, Jing Yan suddenly saw something and couldn't help but accelerate his pace. Ching Ching curiously looked in the direction Jing Yan was looking at. At this moment, a young couple was sitting under the bench kissing, and embarrassed, he immediately turned his head back and followed Jing Yan closely. Chapter 6. Both new students. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the bottom of the dormitory, Jing Yan asked Ching Ching to rest well at night and start training tomorrow to avoid feeling down the next day. Ching Ching nodded and said, "Thank you, Senior Jing." "Goodbye, Senior Jing." As soon as Jing Yan returned to the dormitory, one of his roommates began to torture him severely, saying that seeing him walking with a girl in front and behind at night was not an ambiguous object. They all saw it, but Jing Yan smiled but remained silent. One of the mischievous boys, Li Qingming, said as if he had no vision, "If it's not, introduce it to me and I'll go after it. Her small one is quite cute." Jing Yan changed his previous gentleness, and his gaze suddenly became sharp. He looked at Li Qingming who had just spoken, and in an instant, Li Qingming transformed into an obedient little cat that dared not speak anymore. On the other side, Ching Ching, who had just returned to the dormitory, found it quiet. However, without much thought, she first charged her phone and prepared to go wash up. After washing up, her roommates all sat in front of her, and for some reason, she thought she had done something wrong. Why haven't you been back to the dormitory for so long? Did you go on a date?" He looked like a group of onlookers, knowing that they were concerned about him, and said, "Ha, what are you thinking? My senior and I are just friends, and we came back late when we encountered something at night." After understanding the situation, the roommates stopped talking and started taking showers and taking care of their skin, busy with their own affairs. Ching Ching thought that military training would start tomorrow, and he only had time for lunch and rest. He sent a message to Wang Jingji, saying, "Classmate, can you come and pick up your ring at noon?" Wang Jingji replied, "Sure, I happen to have time at that time." Thinking of this, Ching Ching asked his name curiously and told her. "His name is Wang Jingji." "Wang Jingji, Wang Jingji." Ching Ching muttered his name several times in a low voice. Before he could ask her what her name was, she told him her name was Ching Ching. I don't know why he saved her, or if the atmosphere tonight was too strong. She had a strong liking for him and couldn't help but want to have more contact with him. Early the next morning, Ching Ching and his roommates started getting up to moisturize and apply sunscreen. Ching Ching remembered that during high school military training, his ears had been sunburned and painful for several days. This time, he wiped all the exposed areas. The military training has officially begun, with instructors leading various teams to stand up, organize internal affairs, and sing the national anthem. Due to the lack of long-term exercise and the scorching sun, many students who were not in good health fainted straight out after half a day of training. There was a girl standing in front of Ching Ching and the team, giving him a feeling that she was starting to feel drowsy. In an instant, her body softened, and she was about to fall to the ground with 0.1 seconds left. Ching Ching immediately reached out his hands to catch her, and there was also a boy in the nearby team who was quick to catch her. Upon closer inspection, Wang Jingji stood behind the boy, thinking that he could take a break and give him the ring. The instructor walked over and arranged for two boys to carry the girl to the medical room. He picked up the boy and Ching Ching and criticized them, saying, "Before moving, you must give a report. This is an order, and soldiers take obedience as their duty." "Remember, instructor," the two of them answered in unison. "Before answering, make a report and speak louder." "Report, remember, instructor." The morning training finally came to an end, and Wang Jingji walked towards Ching Ching and stood beside her. It turned out that he had also noticed her, but did not expect him to be a freshman like himself. Waiting for the person to leave, Ching Ching finally handed the ring back to Wang Jingji. Thinking that there were too many people, it was easy to lose the ring. After handing the ring to Wang Jingji, Ching Ching watched as he carefully placed the ring on his little finger, feeling very precious. He couldn't help but say, "You really treasure it." Wang Jingji glanced at her and fell silent. Suddenly, he hugged her and said, "Thank you. This is a relic my grandmother gave me. She said it will be given to her by someone I love in the future." No wonder Ching Ching was still thinking about why he wanted to wear it on his little finger. It turned out to be a woman's ring. But suddenly he realized that he was hugging him. This was their second time hugging each other, and their faces blushed to the point of explosion. Although he admitted that he had some good feelings for him, it was not good for him to be held by a man who had not been in love before and was not very familiar with him. Thinking that he might have been too nervous because of the loss and recovery of the ring, after all, the ring had a special meaning, so he comforted him softly. Chapter 7. Lost Memories. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I'll have to train again in a little while. Let me treat you to dinner, as a way of thanking you for helping me find the ring. Ching Ching quickly shook his head and said, "If you want to treat me, it should be me treating you. You helped me. Okay, I'll treat you first this time, and you can treat me again next time. However, it's getting late now. Let's go out and have some free time. I heard there's a good Chongqing stir-fry restaurant outside." "Okay, that's a deal. I'll come next time." While waiting for food at the table, Ching Ching didn't play with her phone because she believed it was a basic respect for people. When bored, she could only pass the time with trivial things, so she could only stare at the people eating and passing by. Wang Jingji looked at her pitifully staring at the person eating next to her, thinking she was hungry. Suddenly, he remembered that he had a chocolate in his pocket and handed it to her. Wang Jingji was picky about food and appeared tall because he was thin. The chocolate in his pocket was originally prepared because he had not yet gotten used to the food around the school. "Let's eat." "Ah. Why did you carry chocolate with you?" Ching Ching thought to himself. He wouldn't think that the person next to me was hungry, right? I was just passing the time bored, but it's also possible that I really like to eat chocolate. When I get hungry during military training, I'll quietly eat it, hee. But thank you, then I'll accept it. Come here for a while, spicy diced chicken, minced meat and tofu, and a bowl of mushroom soup are served. The spicy diced chicken left the two of them feeling overwhelmed by the spiciness. They drank a lot of water and couldn't help but wonder if this chili pepper was spicy all day long. Why is it so spicy, but it's really delicious. The two of them ate a lot of diced chicken on the same plate. On the way back, the two of them began to discuss how spicy the spicy diced chicken was just now. Wang Jingji said that he almost shed tears from the spiciness. Cheng Cheng stared at the other person's swollen red lips, which he had initially suppressed. However, Cheng Cheng quietly glanced at Wang Jingji, much like a monkey's arched mouth, overlapping them in his mind, and couldn't help but laugh out loud. When passing by the school supermarket, Cheng Cheng thought about eating such a strong spicy food that would make his mouth dry during the afternoon training session, so he went to buy 2 bottles of mineral water. Oh, it's sunny in the afternoon and drink plenty of water. Thank you. It's okay, then I'll go back to the dormitory first. Wang Jingji looked at his phone and saw that there was only half an hour left for military training. After waiting for her, the dormitory was about to start training, so he was afraid she wouldn't have time to rest. He stopped her and said, "Wait, there are benches under the forest here to rest for a while. It's almost time." Cheng Cheng glanced at the time and nodded. At this moment, there are not many people who come out during the hot afternoon sun, and there are few couples and strollers outside the dormitory. The two of them sat on the bench, not knowing what to talk about, and without saying a word, they started chatting about their daily life. Knowing that Wang Jingji is a local, 3 years older than her, because he had been in a state of decline for a long time due to his grandmother's passing, which left a psychological shadow on him. He relied on treatment to get out of that period and switched schools as a result. It was only then that Cheng Orange realized why he always gave people a gloomy feeling, and those who approached him thought he was difficult to grasp. What Cheng Cheng didn't know was that he had witnessed his grandmother die in a car accident right in front of him. He couldn't catch his grandmother, so he had a mental breakdown and had thoughts of depression and suicide. That's why she showed a fearful expression when she was almost hit that day. Cheng Cheng didn't know how to comfort him, so she could only stare at him quietly. Recalling that she had also had a car accident, she only had some scattered memory fragments in her mind. The more she thought about it, the more painful her head became, so she could only gently rub it. In her memory, she remembered a day when it was raining heavily and the road was slippery. She was hit by a car while crossing the road. Before falling into a coma, she fell to the ground and saw a figure running towards her, picking her up. When she woke up, she found herself lying in the hospital. Until now, I don't know who her person is, and even asking the nurse at the front desk was unsuccessful. The new students walked towards the playground one by one, but Wang Jingji didn't notice anything was wrong with Cheng Cheng. He spoke to her and said, "It's time for training, let's go." Cheng Cheng no longer recalled the memories of the past and stood up to gather on the playground. Chapter 8. Societies. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. After the military training, the sun hung above my head, blooming like flowers, and green leaves shimmered with the brilliance of life in the sunlight, adding a touch of vitality to this scorching season. Many senior students in their sophomores and juniors are sitting on benches, holding banners and recruiting new members for various clubs in the long corridor, looking around. Once someone passes by, they wave and ask if they want to join the club, causing a crowded crowd. Cheng Cheng leaned leisurely on the chair in the dormitory, with her hair flowing down. The club is recruiting new members, analyzing with roommates and friends whether or not to participate together. There is plenty of time in daily life, and there is not much to do, so it is relatively relaxed. While exercising oneself, one can also earn points. I'm not very interested, and I have to be busy with my own affairs. I just finished military training and don't really want to do these things. You can join me, Tan Lin said lazily in bed. I prefer anime clubs and can cosplay anime characters, so I'll join this one. For Zhong Yui, who has many anime costumes, she is very interested in this. Then I'll join the club management department. Ha ha ha, I can come and inspect and manage you then. Fu Mengqing said with a cross of her waist, showing her vitality and spirit. As the head of the student union, Jing Yan is currently sitting in his seat busy with his classmates' registration forms. Today, he is wearing a pair of golden-rimmed glasses, and the light reflected in the sunlight makes him look gentle and full of poetry. His skin is fair, with a touch of beauty in his facial features, and a touch of gentleness in his handsome demeanor. His hair is as black as jade with a faint luster, and the skin on his neck is as delicate as porcelain, making people unable to resist wanting to get close to him. More girls fill out the application form, and many of them are not only interested in joining the student union, but also in seeing Jing Yan. Although summer is approaching, the weather is still a bit hot and stuffy. She put on a light makeup and usually looks plain. Ching Ching used a patterned wooden hairpin to curl up her hair. She wore a round-necked cardigan on top and a fish skirt below, making her look beautiful, simple and elegant. Because Ching Ching didn't want to dress up like this, she felt a bit embarrassed at first and stood shyly in front of her roommates. "How about it, is this okay?" Ching Ching asked shyly. "It looks good, I didn't expect you to look pretty good with your makeup," Fu Mengqing exclaimed. "Really? Really, believe in yourself. Aha, are we going together? Let's go, I'll go take a look too." She and Fu Mengqing went downstairs together, attracting a lot of attention along the way. Fu Mengqing stopped at the volunteer club and said, "What do you think of this club? I think it's better to do something meaningful." She saw Wang Jingji with a straight nose and thin lips, a slender figure dressed in a fashionable and dignified seat, a smile on the corner of his mouth, and a soft bangs floating on his forehead. Thinking that her senior invited her to join the student union, she also agreed, but when she saw Wang Jingji registering for the volunteer department, and her senior sister looking at him with a smile, many of her classmates also changed their minds because of his registration. She began to hesitate and indecisive. She wanted to see him often, but she didn't realize that she was slowly falling into trouble. Volunteers can go outside for practical exercises and enhance their knowledge to enrich themselves. Fu Mengqing saw that she was still considering and pulled her to sign up. This scene was noticed by Jing Yan, who walked over and stood behind Ching Ching, saying, "Junior sister." She was still squatting and writing the registration form. When she heard a familiar voice, she turned her head and saw the familiar figure. She was stunned and caught. It turned out that some people's lives began to change rapidly after turning around. Chapter 9. Causing Unworthy People. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, she was timid like a little mouse, and the pen in her hand was slowly put down. Jing Yan was the big cat staring at him intently, while she was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered and dared not lift her head. Fu Mengqing looked at the handsome senior in front of her and was stunned. She looked at Ching Ching, thinking she didn't hear him, and poked her with her finger. "Senior, you're there too," she said with an awkward smile as she looked up. Jing Yan helped his glasses and found that today she was very beautiful and very different from usual. His eyes were tightly glued together like magnets, unable to move away. In that moment, his heart felt as if it was frozen in eternity. She looked at him with a guilty expression, but saw that Jing Yan didn't respond. She stared straight at herself and cautiously said, "Senior." He blushed slightly inside, "Didn't we agree to sign up for the student union?" She awkwardly toed out a magical castle, her brain racing as she said, "If you want to participate, both of us are signing up." "I'll sign up for this first, hee. What if I can't make it?" "Okay, after the registration is completed, you must come and give it a try." After speaking, Jing Yan noticed Fu Mengqing next to him. "Is this your classmate? You can also join us." "Yes, her name is Fu Mengqing, my roommate. She is also our dormitory director. Can you get to know her?" "Hello, my name is Jing Yan, the head of the sophomore student union in the Department of Information Engineering." "Hello, Senior Jing Yan. I am Fu Mengqing, a freshman from the Department of Biotechnology. Fu Mengqing carefully looked at the compatibility of Jing Yan and Qing Qing standing together. Although they looked handsome, there must be many people chasing him, so I need to observe for Qing Qing. Then I'll leave first. He smiled and nodded, then looked at Qing Qing and avoided the crowd. Qing Qing watched Jing Yan return to his club position and sighed, wondering if he could really get busy after joining 2 clubs. But I didn't notice that there was a girl staring at me fiercely. When Jing Yan returned to his job, a girl with high-heeled shoes, thick red wavy hair casually draped over his shoulder, wearing a red slit skirt and strands of silk were full of fascinating smell. She was sprayed with very expensive perfume, and the girl with red lips in flames immediately stuck to her and put her hand on Jing Yan's shoulder. Jing Yan, you just went to recruit new people. Her name is Zhou Zhiyue, and she comes from a wealthy family. She was Jing Yan's classmate from high school until college, and both families were neighbors. She has been in love with Jing Yan since high school, and whenever a girl around her likes him or not, she always tries every means to drive him away. Jing Yan looked at Zhou Zhiyue's hand resting on him, raised his eyes, quickly moved away from Zhou Zhiyue's hand, and said calmly. Zhou Zhiyue, who had been denied face, was very angry. She thought that Jing Yan must have been so indifferent to her because of that girl just now. She looked at Qing Qing with hatred, as if her eyes were about to pop out. Senior sister, where can I register for the student union? The voice of a clean and refreshing-looking boy came from Zhou Zhiyue's ear. Zhou Zhiyue immediately changed her appearance, with a smile on her face. Oh, my classmate, just fill in this for you. That's right, she said on the other side. Fu Mengqing took Qing Qing's hand and walked to a quiet place. Since I've been dominating the world for so many years, that senior seems to be interested in you, and you two just stood together quite well. Do you have any feelings for him? No, senior students have people they like, and it seems like I also have people I like now, Qing Orange said with a red face. Oh, so it's like this, you kid can't tell who it is. I won't be able to reveal it yet. I will talk about it in the future. Let's go first. I promised Principal Jing that he will go to register for the student union department. Zhou Zhiyue saw Qing Qing and Fu Mengqing walking over. Although she felt very unhappy, she could only welcome them on the surface, with a disdainful and hypocritical smile in her eyes that made people feel a chill. Qing Qing thought that the student union was made up of some senior students. If he greeted the senior students, it would seem like he wanted to get close to them. So he glanced at Jing Yan and then saw Zhou Zhiyue, who was almost attached to him. He picked up a registration form and filled it out before leaving. Jing Yan looked at her back and saw that she didn't say hello to him. He thought it was Zhou Zhiyue next to him who had misunderstood her. He was about to chase after her, but upon seeing this, Zhou Zhiyue immediately grabbed Jing Yan's hand. Jing Yan, what's wrong? The work here hasn't ended yet. Chapter 10. Secret Love Discovered. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jing Yan broke free from Zhou Zhiyue's hand, looked at the time on his watch, and there was still half an hour left. I have something else to do, it's almost over here. You can take over my work, he said and strode away. Zhou Zhiyue watched as Jing Yan walked towards the direction she was leaving, her teeth itching with anger. The sunlight penetrates through the clouds, scattering in every corner, as if illuminating the world. Qing Qing thought he had already left, and the club had also signed up. The sunshine was so bright and dazzling, but his roommate said he wanted to buy some fruit. Just a few steps away, he met Wang Jingji. Fu Mengqing saw Qing Qing stop and looked in the direction she was looking at. A handsome boy with a face full of words, "Do not approach strangers," slightly bent down and fed the canned fish in his hand to a small three-flower stray cat in the school. She was very excited when she saw Wang Jingji. She didn't expect to meet her again so soon. She instructed her roommate next to her to wait for her and say hello to her friends on her own. Gently approaching his side, afraid of scaring the kitten, he cautiously whispered, "This kitten is so beautiful." He wanted to look at him but didn't dare to look him in the eye, feeling his kindness towards the small animals and adding another point to his heart. "Well, I used to have a little cat that looked very similar to it before, but it's gone," Wang Jingji said softly when he saw it. After saying these words, a hint of sadness appeared in his eyes. "Perhaps it's just playful, maybe one day it'll come back after playing enough." She also said that, he said in a very low voice, and she listened in a daze. Who is she?" "It's nothing, thank you for your concern, and I believe it will come back." He carefully looked at Cheng Cheng for a while, and after a while, he shyly said, "You're very beautiful today." But his gaze seemed to pass through her as if he was looking at someone else. She blushed and touched the kitten, wanting to stay quietly by his side. The winding path was paved with pebbles, and Jing Yan didn't feel any discomfort at all. He only thought that Zhou Zhiyue had leaned too tightly just now, and Cheng Cheng was probably jealous when he saw her. That's why she didn't say hello to herself. The smile on her mouth couldn't stop thinking about it. Jing Yan quickened his steps and, as he passed through a forest, his smile immediately stiffened. He saw her chatting happily with Fu Mengqing and a boy, and they were so close that he felt empty in his heart. Seeing this, his mood instantly sank to a low point. "Turn around and leave." On the way back, when passing through the small path again, I felt empty in my heart and felt that the pebbles under my feet were so rough. Halfway through, Fu Mengqing sent a text message. "I'll be obedient, buddy. You guys haven't finished saying hello yet." Cheng Cheng took out his phone and saw that I was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. He immediately stood up and said goodbye to Wang Jingji briefly. He said that he had not yet been invited back to the last agreed treat and that he would come to Chengdu on Saturday this weekend. He insisted on coming and not leaving. He originally wanted to decline something on the weekend, but he saw that her attitude was very sincere and difficult to refuse, so he agreed. Fu Mengqing was very curious about the boy just now and asked, "Who is he?" "He looked straight at you just now, and I waited for you for a long time. You didn't react. Is that the person you like?" She didn't speak, but her ears were red from the base to the tip, proving everything. They looked at each other and Fu Mengqing understood. When selecting fruits, Fu Mengqing asked, "What do you like about him?" "Maybe it's because he looks good, he doesn't look very approachable, and his temperament is a bit cold. It's you who will be sad and upset when the time comes. I don't know why when I first saw him, I had a good impression of him. Now, he may be quite cold, but just now you saw him still feeding a can of fish to a kitten, which shows that he may be a person who is cold on the outside and hot on the inside." Fu Mengqing stopped arguing when she said so.